At a number 10 spot, we have emotionally immature Prince. Prince Harry appears to be emotionally immature and does what other people want him to do rather than what he wants to do. Sure, he may have wanted to leave the royal family for a while, but can we talk about how he never actively chose to expose the family throughout any of his other romantic relationships? Only after meeting Meghan and feeling the need to protect his family did the prince decide to act on his desire. There may be reasons for this. Prince Harry might be driven to save Meghan because his mother, Princess Diana, couldn't be saved. Because of the negative feelings they have about the royal family and the increased publicity surrounding the book, the couple is seen as a codependent, which seems to be the driving force in their relationship. They heavily rely on their experiences in the royal household to make content for platforms that will provide them with income. Meghan's husband does not have a strong relationship with his family, and even though both parties are to blame, it has to be a red flag that they were okay with cutting ties with him and Meghan rather than coming to a compromise that would keep them both happy. Number 9. Royal issues. Some might say Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are a dynamic duo. They have demonstrated resilience in the face of numerous family issues, but it seems as if it's important to understand what it can be a red flag if your partner's family does not like you. Sure, you might be the problem, but let's consider the history of the royal family. For one, more than one member of the family has had racist allegations against them. 2. Meghan is mixed race. And 3. When Harry wanted his family to speak about the injustices happening to Meghan, including harassment from the media outlets, they didn't take him seriously, which just sounds like the couple's feelings were invalidated even after Harry pointed out a lot of the harassment that has been done to Meghan's ethnicity. Yeah, red flag. I'm too sensitive to deal with this kind of stuff, so in a sense, it's totally understandable why Meghan left the royal household and stepped down from her royal duties. Number 8. Selfish Prince. Prince Harry wants the British and American publics to believe that the royal family, the palace as an institution, as it is known, and the British media have all conspired to destroy him and his family. This is a modern dystopian twist. He and Meghan Markle provide only hazy explanations for why and how. They are all based on claims that the monarchy is racist, but none specifically mention members of the royal family. Without the benefits of facts, evidence, and a trial or jury, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex blame the royal fallout on the family and think they should acknowledge that they are racist in every way, whether this is proven or not. Prince Harry is unable to comprehend the largely symbolic but very real role his father, King Charles, plays as the head of United Kingdom's military forces in light of the Commonwealth's growing political, economic, and military threat. Number 7. Disapproval from the Queen. A lot of people question how healthy Harry and Meg's relationship is, even the late Queen Elizabeth. The Queen's assertion was that he is too in love with Meghan. Well, I want to say that better than Queen Liz's son, King Charles, who famously said whatever love means when asked if Diana and him were in love. That is definitely a worse reality, and look at how that relationship turned out. When she heard that Harry and Meghan were getting married, Queen Elizabeth II was truly delighted. However, she was under the impression that Harry was perhaps a little over in love with Meghan because of how he blindly follows whatever she wants to do. And this is as far as she ever came to uttering the word against the new Duchess of Sussex. Was Queen Elizabeth implying that passionate love between the couple was eventually a red flag? I wouldn't be surprised, since a lot of the older gens of royals didn't seem to marry for love, but instead for fulfilling duties and social class. The older folk just wouldn't get it. But then again, the late queen might have been onto something, because the fact that Harry's relationship is now strained with his whole family make it seem that Meghan is the reason for that. Is Queen Elizabeth's assumption a red flag, or did she make some points? Let me know what you think in the comments. Number 6, codependent couple. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle has confirmed that their romance seems like something out of a fairy tale, despite the royal family's position. The couple talked about how they got together in an interview with BBC in 2018. Harry said, quote, "The fact that I fell in love with Meghan so incredibly quickly was confirmation to me that all the stars were aligned, everything was just perfect." However, particularly since the release of Harry and Meghan, speculation regarding the possibility of a codependent relationship between Harry and Meghan has emerged as a popular topic on Twitter. They have the most unhealthy codependent relationship I've ever seen, was one user's tweet. I suspect Harry is literally transformed from what he believes to be intense love for Meghan. Another person wrote, adding completely codependent on her. Number 5, Oprah. As we all know, the infamous CBS special where Oprah interviewed the royal couple was filled with controversial statements, with some people even calling them out for lying, which isn't a new allegation either. The Netflix miniseries also had some spreading of misinformation, which we still don't understand why they felt was necessary. If you want to tell a story from your side, at least make it credible, or else people can't take it seriously. But anyway, Prince Harry exposed his own wife in the bombshell memoir and how she misled viewers in her interview with Oprah by trying to accuse Kate by making Meg cry, when she had also upset her royal sister-in-law by commenting on her baby brain because of her hormone. Number 4, inner dreams. The impact Harry's mother's passing had on him has been relevant for years. During the interview, he mentioned how he refused to accept she had gone for years. Staying in denial, Harry believed that this was part of a plan and she would eventually contact him and will come and join her. Denial and assuming that she just wanted to disappear for a while. Cooper then said, quote, "You write in the book, I'd often say it to myself first thing in the morning. Maybe this is the day. Maybe this is the day that she's gonna reappear." And often before he woke up, Harry would see his mother in his dreams. In his memoir, Spare, Prince Harry recalls seeing his mother in his dreams and asking if it was really her. Prince Harry tells Bradby, quote, "I refer to it as a post-traumatic stress injury because I'm not a person with a disorder. I know I'm not." Number 3, royal family reveals. So far, the couple isn't exactly dishing out other royal members of the royal family, which is probably wise if they want to keep up with the relationships. But Harry did say there's pressure on the male royals to marry someone who will fit the mold of what a royal wife is expected to be, rather than choose the person they are destined to be with. Now, this may not come as a shock to many because of how important politics are within the royals, but I just can't imagine having to marry someone who is more fit for the family rather than a person you feel fit better into your own personal life. Harry really went against the grain and went searching for someone who he believed would fit into his life, and props to him for choosing different. He mentioned that some of their family members didn't feel sympathy for Meghan being hunted by paparazzi because their wives also had to go through that. Though Harry says Meghan's situation was different because of racism towards her, Harry needing to defend his wife from the chaos might also be attached to his bitterness because he's felt ever since seeing the toll the British press took on his mother back when she was alive. Number 2, formal family. Who would have thought it's not just an on-screen persona? Counting down to the 4th greatest reveal, we find out that the royals behave just as formally on-screen as they do when there are no cameras on them. So now I'm wondering, are they out here greeting each other with the royal wave every time they see each other? Meghan recalls a time when Prince William and Duchess Kate had come over and Meghan greeted them with a hug. She was in her own homes walking around barefoot with ripped jeans on. Isn't that insane? She didn't necessarily say it was an uncomfy greeting, but it was definitely insinuated the way she explained the encounter. She learned that the royals don't let their hair down and relax one behind closed doors. Number 1, Meghan's clumsy curtsy. The infamous curtsy part of the English culture is an odd thing to think about for people unfamiliar with English traditions. Meghan, being born and raised in America, was the same way until she found out she was supposed to curtsy when she was going to meet the Queen, which she found out was going to happen on her way there.
Number 10. Turns out the royals aren't much different than us when it comes to wanting to treat the inner child. As King Charles is well into the 70s, it might be a surprise to some to find out that the king keeps a teddy bear with him, taking it everywhere he goes. There have been many stories about King Charles and his teddy bear. It was a pitiful object, Harry says in his book about his father's prized possession. With broken arms and dangly threads, holes patched up here and there, Teddy expressed eloquently, better than Pa ever could, the essential loneliness of his childhood. The king has had it in his possession since he was a young boy and apparently values it so much that he assigned a valet to oversee its well-being when he was in his 40s. When the well-worn stuffed animal was in need of mending, the now king's former nanny was allegedly asked to come out of retirement to fix the old bear. It seems like every time that Teddy needed to be repaired, you would think it was his own child having major surgery. Harry also jokes that he and his brother accepted their stepmother because their dad deserved better than the plush toy. Apologies to Teddy, Pa deserved a proper companion. That was why when asked, Willie and I promised Pa that we'd welcome Camilla into the family. Number 9, is King Charles secretly an acrobat too? According to Harry, when he was a young boy, his father would do a headstand every morning alone in his room, wearing only boxer shorts. He would also hang like a skilled acrobat from a bar. I wonder if Camilla joins him in doing this too, or if she just walks by like it's completely normal for the king to be upside down on his head in boxers. I gotta admit that is pretty impressive for someone as old as him, but it's also pretty funny to hear that at any given moment, if you walk into his room in the mornings, there's a chance you might catch him doing a headstand with nothing but boxer shorts on. I think every time I'll see a pic of Charles, that'll be the only thing I'll think of now. Did someone walk in on him doing a headstand today? It's definitely definitely not the worst thing to catch someone doing in their bedroom, but as a king, seeing him upside down would definitely crack me up. Number 8, according to Harry, his father must have been a bloodhound in a former life. He was always sniffing things, food, roses, our hair, he writes. He adds that he took all these long sniffs because it was hard to smell anything over his personal scent. Eau sauvage. He'd slather the stuff on his cheeks, his neck, his shirt, flowery with a hint of something harsh like pepper or gunpowder. It was made in Paris. I bet Camilla makes sure she smells extra good every day just in case Charles wants to go ahead and sniff her. As a king, that has got to be the funniest things to do. Why are you going around and sniffing random things? At least Charles is making the most use out of his nose. If you're able to smell things, why not smell everything, right? I totally understand the logic, Charles. And considering his very strong cologne, I can only imagine how much Charles wants to be able to smell other things outside of himself. Number 7, King Charles is particular about how he likes his women presented. This was one of the reasons Harry asked Meghan to wear her hair down when they met for the first time. Her hair was down because I suggested she wear it that way. Pa likes it when women wear their hair down. Granny too. She often commented on Kate's beautiful mane. That's a fun fact for you guys. The royals like when you let down your hair. Also, Meg was wearing little makeup, which I'd also suggested, Harry continues. Pa didn't approve of women who wore a lot. And although the amount of makeup you wear is your own personal choice, I guess now you know if you ever want to flatter the King of England, make sure you present yourself naturally. Makes sense why Camilla is mostly seen with her hair down. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen the Queen consort with her hair up. Number 6, Harry claims that his father falls asleep on the job. He and his brother would find him at his desk amid mountains of bulging post bags. More than once, we discovered him face on the desk, fast asleep. We'd shake his shoulders and up he'd bob, a piece of paper stuck to his forehead. But considering his age, it might not be as much of a surprise that the king generally is more into relaxing than doing the royal work. At 73, most people his age are retiring and relaxing at their villas in Florida, but Charles is just starting a more intense chapter in the monarchy, which was also a reason people didn't think Charles would be fit to be king in old age. But what do you guys think? Personally, that's the most I've ever related to the king. I too am always tired and longing to take a nap no matter what time of day it is. Matter of fact, might even snooze a little after this video. Number 5, while it is common knowledge that royals aren't that into PDA, according to Prince Harry, his father didn't even hug him when he told him about the tragic accident that Princess Diana was involved in. This could be because Charles is just not used to showing it. I mean, have we ever seen any sort of PDA between Camilla and Charles? Or maybe Charles just doesn't know how to display physical affection, and in a situation as intense as telling his son his mother has passed on, he may have felt awkward or had no idea how to console Harry. What do you think? His other son William and daughter-in-law Kate have also rarely shown PDA as seen in pics of the couple. We can see where Will has gotten that trait from. The late Queen Elizabeth also refrained from showing PDA and wanted her family to also refrain from doing so, especially on business trips, because it seemed unprofessional. Harry and Meg have casually bent this rule many times throughout their time as working royals, but considering they ended up stepping back, it's clear they didn't care much about a lot of the things done within the palace anyway. Number 4, even though many might see the story of the Little Mermaid as a fairy tale, King Charles believes there might be some truth to the tale. According to Harry, Charles had once told him and Meg a story about selkies, aka Scottish mermaids, who took the form of seals. So when you see a seal, he said, you can never tell. Sing to it. They often sing back. When Harry accused him of telling fairy tales, Charles responded, no, it's absolutely true. As convincing as the story is, we wonder if he's convinced Camilla or if she thinks he's deluded for believing in the mystical creatures. Other odd things to know about the king is that he has a number of highly specific must-haves on his travel packing list, including a custom toilet seat that accompanies him anytime he stays away from home. The claims of its existence are backed up by Tina Brown, who also mentioned it in her book The Palace Papers, released in April of this year. Brown also listed an orthopedic bed, a pair of Scottish landscape paintings, and Charles's favorite brand of toilet paper, Kleenex Velvet, among the items that are prepared to meet the monarch at his travel destinations. As you'd expect from a king, Charles takes his breakfast experience very seriously. Here's a very detailed description of what to expect if you're eating with Charles. The king's breakfast tray always contains a cup and saucer to the right with a silver spoon pointing outward at an angle of 5 o'clock. Butter must come in 3 balls and be chilled. The royal toast is always on a silver rack, never on a plate. Assorted jams, jellies, marmalades, and honey are served on a separate silver tray. The former prince is known to skip lunch but had similar expectations at dinner, which he usually eats, accompanied by a side salad and a soft-boiled egg, likely from one of his own chickens. Chefs in the royal kitchen normally prepared several 3-minute eggs before being satisfied that one had been cooked to meet the prince's standards of softness, Anderson alleges in The King. The rejects were discarded. What a waste of eggs, but as we said, the food experience seems to be very personal and serious for the king. Number 3, if you've ever wondered how Charles has remained as fit as he is all these years, the answer is his passion for hiking in the Highland. There are many benefits to walking, including helping to maintain a healthy weight, strengthening the bones and muscles, and improving muscle endurance. This simple exercise can prevent or manage health conditions such as heart disease, stroke, cancer, and type 2 diabetes, so get into it. Let's stay fit, guys. Camilla spoke about her husband's love of walking on BBC Radio 5's The Emma Barnett Show in June 2020, saying of Charles, he is probably the fittest man of his age I know. Divulging some of her husband's biggest secrets, Camilla continued, he'll walk and walk and walk, he's like a mountain goat, he leaves everybody miles behind. Charles has been open about his love of gardening and nature throughout his life. I can't blame him. Surrounding yourself in nature is a peaceful and amazing experience. I just come and talk to the plants, really. Very important to talk to them. They respond, I find, the then prince said in a 1986 interview. Charles also recently praised his youngest son Prince Harry's efforts on climate change awareness and his charity Archwell's commitment to being net zero. Charles has now taken on a role previously held by his father Prince Philip and is now the Ranger of Windsor Great Park, one of England's oldest land estates. Number 2, Charles was the first royal heir apparent to be educated outside of the palace. The young prince attended Hill House School in London, where he even interacted with other students. He later transferred to a boarding school that his father Prince Philip had attended. If you think bullies don't go after the royals, you're wrong. Charles was said to have experienced this during his childhood at his school. He would be made fun of for his ears that stick out quite a bit, as well as his weight. Well, I guess we know now that no matter how much money or power you have, there will always be haters. Sensitive and not particularly gifted athletically, Charles preferred his own company and loved to paint and draw. According to Vanity Fair, Charles was homesick during his time away at school and sent letters home on a weekly basis. I'd be homesick too if I had to move away from my huge palace just to get bullied. I get it, Charles. Number 1, a lot of Charles and Diana's first conversations took place over the phone. Less than a year after the couple began dating, and after only 13 in-person meetings, then Prince Charles and Lady Diana announced their engagement. The prince was clearly in a rush to wed. Since he was 32 at the time, he did end up marrying this 19-year-old Diana. But we need to circle back to the 13 in-person meetings. No wonder their marriage ended in shambles. They did not know enough about each other. Diana and Charles even wanted to call off the wedding. On July 29, 1981, Charles and Diana were married in a spectacular televised ceremony. It was then called the Wedding of the Century. Roughly 750 million people in 74 different countries tuned in to watch the couple tie the knot, in addition to the 600,000 spectators who lined the streets of London. When it came to Camilla, they obviously had spoken on the phone and met in person much more than with Diana. Considering they were still having an affair during his marriage with Diana, it's clear that he's always had a special spot for Camilla. And even though he initially did not have the approval of the throne to marry her, they did eventually get married in 2005. Considering everything we know so far about the king, I wonder what else there is that he's still hiding, and I wonder if Camilla knows some of these things, because honestly, like, standing on your head in your boxers is kind of odd, but he makes it work, I guess, since he's a king. Both the king and Camilla have shared ancestors dating back to the 17th century. And strangely enough, they are also both related to the late Princess Diana through shared ancestry dating back to King Charles II. It also might be important to note that Camilla's great-grandmother was a mistress to King Edward VII, the great-great-grandfather of King Charles. What a tangled web of royal relations. It's enough to make your head spin. In addition to the royal family tree, there are a few other interesting details that make the Charles-Camilla relationship even more unique. For one, they share similar interests. Both of them are passionate about horse racing and outdoor activities such as hill walking and cycling. Secondly, both of them are committed to preserving the British countryside and its wildlife. No matter how you look at it, Charles and Camilla's relationship is an impressive example of a modern-day royal love story for the ages. The fact that they have managed to stay in love amidst all the complexities that come with being part of such an illustrious family is a testament to their strong bond. On to number 9, not mentioning his ex to Diana. Yup, Diana thought Charles and Camilla were just friends and found out about their history only after she said yes to the proposal. The Duchess Camilla Parker Bowles and the love affair that rocked the crown. One of the excerpts say, instead of explaining to Diana at the outset that Camilla was an old girlfriend, he had presented her as nothing more than a friend. It didn't occur to him, apparently, that she needed to know before someone else told her. He came clean after the engagement, admitting that Camilla had been one of his most intimate friends. But reassured Diana that from now on, there would be no other woman. Well, we all know how that played out. On to number 8, Diana and Camilla's date. To start off, no, Charles and Diana did not actually meet at the Ménage à Trois restaurant. That is only the crown trolling all of us. In addition, it appears that the show took some creative liberties with the specifics of their conversation, meaning nobody knows precisely the exact thing these two discussed, and there's no verification Camilla uncovered that her and Charles' monikers for one another were Fred and Gladys. However, as a result of Andrew Morton's book, Diana, Her Own Words, Her True Story, we do know that Camilla tried to learn more about Charles and Diana's relationship. On to number 7, confronting Camilla. As per Morton, Diana faced Camilla at a birthday celebration saying, "I know what's going on between you and Charles, and I just want you to know that." Camilla replied with, "You've got everything you ever wanted, you've got all the men in the world fall in love with you, and you've got 2 beautiful children, what more do you want?" And Diana said this in return. Then Diana ended the conversation by apologizing to Camilla for being in the way, saying, "It must be hell for both of you, but I do know what's going on. Don't treat me like an idiot." Tell him, Diana. On to number 6, the proposal. On February 6th, Charles proposes to Diana. According to one report, he proposed in Camilla's garden. When a television interviewer asks him and Diana if they are in love, he makes a slightly jarring comment after the news broke on February 24, with Diana blushing, responding, "Of course," and Charles continues with whatever in love means. However, in an interview with a newspaper at the time, he sounds more in love. "I feel positively delighted and frankly amazed that Di is prepared to take me on." They got married in St. Paul's Cathedral on July 29 with an estimated 750 million people watching around the world, and oh yeah, Camilla reportedly was present. What is a good wedding without your ex being there, who you also have an affair with? On to number 5, Tampon Gate. A not-so-secret affair and a joke about tampons became Tampon Gate decades ago, a shady scandal that wreaked havoc on the royal family, particularly on the current King Charles. A few royals and their connections have been tormented by discussions and terrible press, including the marriage of then sovereign Charles III and Princess Diana of Riges. A recorded call between a wedded sovereign Charles and his long-term paramour Camilla, who was likewise hitched at that point, on December 17, 1989 prompted what became known as Tampon Gate and pushed the relationship into the worldwide spotlight. Number 4, threatened by Diana. According to a previous report from Insider, Diana stated that she believed She was a threat to Camilla when they first met in 1980. According to Town and Country magazine, which cited Andrew Morton's book Diana, The Life and Times of Diana, Camilla made a request to have lunch with Diana shortly after Charles's engagement was announced. In her own words, her real story, a quote says, "Such exciting news about the engagement. Do let's have lunch soon when the Prince of Wales goes to Australia and New Zealand. He's gonna be away for 3 weeks. I'd love to see the ring. Lots of love, Camilla," she wrote in a letter to Diana per Morton's book. On to number 3, Notorious Mistress. By 1986, Charles had revived his not really calm sentiment with Camilla. Insider recently detailed, according to Morton and Camilla's biographer, Penny Jr., who described Camilla as the most notorious mistress in the world, both Diana and Andrew, Camilla's husband, were aware of the affair. In 1986, Diana also started a series of affairs, one of which was with cavalry officer James Hewitt. During a 1995 meeting, Diana confessed to the issue, saying she revered and was enamored with Hewitt, as indicated by Town and Country magazine. The public perception of Camilla was incredibly negative following Charles and Diana's divorce. Even before the royal divorce, questions lingered about Prince Charles's future relationships, as the Church of England did not permit divorced people to remarry so long as their previous spouse was still living, according to the New York Times. Charles wanted to introduce Camilla to the world as his girlfriend shortly after the divorce, an effort that was waylaid by Diana's tragic passing in 1997, according to The Guardian. Number 2, phone call transcripts. In the wake of the separation announcement, multiple media outlets published the Tampon Gate tape transcript. Some outlets referred to the tape as Camilla Gate in reference to Charles's mistress. Others speculated whether the tape would prevent Charles from someday ascending to the throne. The public interest was so rapt that people could call a phone number to listen to the tape of the actual phone call. Dominic West, who played Prince Charles in season 5 of The Crown, told Entertainment Weekly. A full transcript of the call depicts Charles and Camilla playing the age-old lovers' game of refusing to hang up the phone on one another at the end of the call. And finally, number 1, the crowded marriage. Diana gave a tell-all interview to the BBC in 1995 in which she spoke openly about Charles's affair while admitting to her own affairs as well. She also discussed her health issues, including postpartum depression and bulimia, according to Town and Country magazine. In her words, "There were 3 of us in the marriage, and so it was a bit crowded," the princess famously said, referencing Camilla without naming her. The interview would later be revealed to have been obtained unethically by the BBC's Martin Bashir, but it still sent shockwaves through the royal atmosphere. Starting off with number 10, Charles and Camilla. Prince Charles's intimate talk is probably not everyone's cup of tea to this day, even though it may no longer be considered taboo. According to a 1993 article in the LA Times, a radio enthusiast accidentally picked up Charles and Camilla's private phone conversation in 1992, which then made its way into British tabloids. Now, this is all Charles saying this. "Oh God, I'll just hide somewhere in your pants or something. It would be a lot simpler." In the tapes, Charles can be heard saying, "When you grow up, what will you become? A pair of knickers?" Cambridge responds, or shudder, "A Tampax. It's all luck. I have no words." Most people don't think of romance when they hear about menstruation, and many Brits certainly felt the same way. Persuaded most of the nation that the heir to the throne, the would-be defender of the faith, was a lavatory-minded adulterer. Royal biographer Anthony Holden wrote in the Sydney Morning Herald, "The controversy, which was dubbed Camilla Gate due to its timing, appeared to be evidence of Charles's immorality. However, given that these tapes were released at the same time as those of Diana and James Gilby, many people wondered if British internal intelligence was involved in any way. This theory was never proven to be true, but I'm interested in learning what you guys think. Do you think it was all a whole plan, or do you think it was just a coincidence?" On to number 9, Diana and James Gilby. The rocky romance between Prince Charles and Princess Diana, Prince Harry's parents, was well known. The couple got married in July 29, 1981 in a lavish ceremony that was broadcast all over the world. However, their love story wasn't exactly a fairy tale. Diana openly acknowledged that Charles's infidelity with his now wife Camilla was a factor in her struggles with an eating disorder. However, Diana's relationship was not entirely entirely rumor-free. Multiple media outlets reported that she was also involved in a scandal that the media dubbed Squidgy Gate in the early 1990s. Several phone calls between Diana and James Gilby, her secret lover, are said to have been recorded by British intelligence. During these calls, Gilby allegedly said, "I love you," and affectionately referred to Diana as Squidgy at least 53 times. The tapes were sold to The Sun and then published in the United States in 1992 by the National Enquirer. Because the royal family did not confirm who was actually on the calls, Buckingham Palace did not pursue the papers for the leak. The monarchy's statement that they weren't taking the tapes seriously was the subject of an episode of Frontline in 1997 titled "The Princess and the Press." In the same year as the leak, Diana and Charles divorced, and their divorce was finalized in 1996. Number 8. Diana and James Hewitt. Diana admitted to having an affair with British Army officer James Hewitt during her marriage to Prince Charles in a 1995 interview with BBC reporter Martin Bashir. Diana stated, "He was a great friend of mine during a very difficult, yet another difficult time, and he was always there to support me." The princess replied, "Yes, it did. Yes," when Bashir asked if the relationship had progressed beyond a close friendship. Diana, on the other hand, stated that she felt betrayed by Hewitt, who was heavily cited in an expose of her affairs. According to Hewitt's book Princess in Love, their romance began in 1986 when Diana was said to be estranged from her husband. He claimed that when he was sent to Germany in 1989 for duty, the relationship started to fade. Many people focused specifically on one of Hewitt's physical characteristics when these revelations became public: his dark hair. Even Hewitt himself has frequently refuted the claims that he was Harry's biological father. The interviewer on Australian Channel 7's Sunday Night asked, "Are you Harry's father?" earlier this year. Hewitt replied, "No, I am not," adding that the rumor sells papers and may have persisted for years. On to number 7. Prince Andrew and Koo Stark. When Harry's uncle Prince Andrew dated an American actress in the 1980s, he was in a similar predicament to his nephew. Her name was Koo Stark, and she became famous for her breakout role in the 1976 film Emily. She had an 18-month relationship with the second son of Queen Elizabeth. Majesty magazine editor-in-chief Ingrid Seward told Variety that the relationship received a lot of criticism because an actress was not thought to be the ideal woman for a prince to walk down the aisle with, especially one who had a history of making raunchy movies. According to Seward, in those days, a prince of the realm might have had an actress as a mistress, like his ancestors would have done, but never a wife. Seward said that the pressure from the media caused Andrew and Stark's romance to end, but the two are still said to be close friends today. Number 6. Captain Mark Phillips and Princess Anne. In her marriage to Captain Mark Phillips, Princess Anne, the sole daughter of Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, experienced her fair share of heartbreak. They tied the knot in 1973, and in 1985, Phillips had a love child named Felicity with Heather Tonkin, a New Zealand art teacher. According to The Telegraph, a DNA test that was carried out as a result of a paternity suit filed in 1991 proved Felicity to be Phillips' daughter. However, the couple didn't just have a problem with the love child. It was widely noted that Anne and Phillips appeared to have two distinct lives throughout their marriage. They were called a loveless duo in a People story from 1989, and it was reported that the royal couple lived apart for almost 2 years before breaking up. In 1992, they filed for divorce, and that same year, Princess Anne got married to Timothy Lawrence, her current husband. Number 5. Sarah Ferguson and John Bryan. Although the separation of Diana and Charles in '92 captivated the majority of viewers, another member of the royal family received some negative media attention in August. When pictures of Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, leaked to the media, she was just getting over her split from Prince Andrew, Charles's brother. The images, which were published in the Daily Mirror, appeared to show American businessman John Bryan sucking on Sarah's toes while she went topless for a sunbathing session. In the court of public opinions and from the British royals, Fergie received a lot of criticism for the embarrassing photo scandal. 9 out of 10 respondents to a poll that was published in the Sunday Express on August 23, '92 stated that if Andrew went through with the divorce, Ferguson should lose her title. Richard Richard Kate, a well-known royal writer for the Daily Mail, said he was there when Fergie and Bryan found out about the photos. Bryan said that Bryan just kissed Fergie's feet. Sure, Bryan, that's exactly what it looks like you're doing in the pictures. Number 4, Edward VIII and Wallace Simpson. King Edward VIII had made the proposal to Wallace Simpson, an American socialite, in 1936, just a few months into his reign. However, in contrast to Meghan Markle, Simpson's nationality did not cause a social uproar, because at the time it was forbidden for the king, who was also the head of the Church of England, to marry a woman who had previously wed and her husband was still alive. The proposal led to a constitutional crisis in the UK. At the time of the proposal, Simpson still had 2 active ex-husbands. If Harry and Meghan had been dating during those times, they would have faced similar challenges, as both of them are divorced. The 36-year-old actress got married to Trevor Engelson, a film producer, in 2011, but the couple divorced in 2013. According to LUK, Harry and Markle are free to marry at Westminster Abbey whenever they want, provided, of course, they receive the Queen's permission as a result of changes in a religious law in the Church of England. Sadly for Edward, he was not born during Harry's time, so he had to choose between love and the crown. After her second divorce was finalized, he ultimately decided to abdicate the throne and married Simpson in France in 1937. That sounds so poetic. You're leaving the throne for the love of your life? Wow, we need more people like that. On to number 3, Princess Margaret and Peter Townsend. Another royal who was criticized for her dating life was Princess Margaret, Queen Elizabeth's younger sister. The young princess had to ask her older sister for permission to marry a 16-year-old royal heir, Peter Townsend, around 1953. He had been married before, but after his first wife allegedly had an affair, he divorced her. Because of Townsend's divorce, the couple was denied the right to marry multiple times, and even Margaret's title and income were threatened. She ultimately chose not to pursue a romantic relationship with Townsend and went in a different direction than Edward VIII. In a public statement, she said, "I would like it to be known that I have decided not to marry Group Captain Peter Townsend. I have always been aware that I could have entered into a civil marriage if I had not waived my rights to succession. However, due to my obligation to the Commonwealth and the Church's teaching that Christian marriage cannot be broken, I have decided to prioritize these factors." On to number 2, King Henry VIII and his many wives. When it came to multiple marriages, King Henry VIII, who ruled England from 1509 to 1547, could have given Elizabeth Taylor a run for her money. He was married 6 times and even had his first marriage to Catherine of Aragon annulled, which was a controversial move that the Pope at the time disapproved of. However, in the modern era, Henry's numerous wives were not the only thing that would have landed him in the tabloids. Additionally, many of the unusual health issues that many of the women faced attempting to conceive also contributed. In 1534, he miscarried Anne Boleyn, his second wife with whom he cheated on Catherine. Additionally, there's a rumor that she may have previously given birth to a few stillborn children. According to reports, she considered her inability to have a son a betrayal. Anne's problems did not end there though. She later passed away in 1536 after being accused of multiple acts of adultery. Henry proposed to Jane Seymour the day after Anne passed away. Wow. Henry, that's kind of a savage move. Henry had 4 more wives, including Catherine Howard, who was executed for adultery. Henry's life was always filled with conflict. And on to number 1, Princess Margaret and Anthony Armstrong Jones. If you have watched the first 2 seasons of Netflix's The Crown, you know that Princess Margaret, the younger sister of Queen Elizabeth, was a wild child when she was in her prime. When the princess was just 17 years old, she fell in love with Peter Townsend, a married man who worked for her father. The princess married an openly gay photographer named Anthony Armstrong Jones in 1960 after Parliament refused to allow the couple to wed. Even though they were married for 18 years, their union was not happy. In the end, they both had fun making fun of each other. It was the first divorce of a senior royal since 1901 when they got married in 1978. The princess almost lost everything, including her lifestyle that was paid for by the government. She received the moniker Royal Parasite. The royals are drama fans. Although Duchess Meghan Markle's accession to the royal family certainly sparked controversy, it is not the first time the royal family has been part of a scandal. I mean, clearly. Here's one more relationship scandal that we haven't gotten to yet, which had the fans of the royal family outraged. Back in 2019, word on the street was that Prince William, the upcoming king, cheated on his wife Kate Middleton. Rose Hanbury, a close friend of Middleton, is said to be the lady in between the couple. Obviously, the Duke is not the first royal to have an affair, if the rumors are true. King Charles's relationship with his current wife, Camilla, led to the breakdown of the marriage between the late Princess Diana and then Prince Charles. It is hard to keep up with this family, who is obsessed with maintaining a very prim and proper image. The scandal-ridden royal relationships are just one of the many interesting and juicy things the royals have been involved in. But that is all for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for some more juicy royal updates. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time on The Rich Life.